Hello and welcome to another episode of Bike Channel Kenya. In this episode, we are going to look at how the Honda CB754 caught everyone by surprise when it was launched back in 1969. The journalists of the time went mad, and so did the European manufacturers who were caught napping. But how did all this begin? Since the beginning of two-wheeled motorized machines, aka motorbikes, there has been roughly 2,000 companies who have tried their hands on the industry. Trends like fashion here require manufacturers to be innovative, or in a blink they could be out of business. Up until the Second World War, the British were untouchable when it came to motorbikes. But the Second World War wasn't so kind to them unless they had a government contract during the war, sometimes which did even involve bidding bikes. If you didn't have a contract during that time, survival wasn't guaranteed. After the war, with many economies in ruins, cars were a luxury only a few could afford, and so the right-to-work small bikes came to the scene. In this time, after the war, companies like Villiers, Norman, Daytona, DMW, yes, DMW, not BMW, and so many who jumped to the right-to-work small up to 250cc, two-strokers bikes made a lot of money. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, in Japan, after the war, the economy was in ruins and needed cheap transport. And anybody who had an engineering shed, who could build anything with two wheels and a motor attached to it, would make a lot of money. And Soichiro Honda happened to be in the right place at the right time. And in 1946, with 12 employees, he started his company. From any Army two-stroke engines he could get his hands on from the Army surplus from the war. By 1949, he had designed his first complete motorbike, which he named the Dream. By the mid-50s, he was attending the Isle of Man to benchmark and see how he could beat the British manufacturers. Then in 1959, Honda arrived at the Isle of Man, but they weren't well prepared. They actually had knobby tires which weren't suited for the circuit. That year it was a disaster for them, but they gained a lot of experience and learned a lot of lessons. At the same time, they were also marketing their weird, in quotes, looking small bikes to the British market. In terms of performance, they weren't anywhere near the British bikes, but they caught the attention of the European market. In their standard form, they had things like electric motors, blinkers, side mirrors, and heck, they even had toolkits. These little things proved to be the key sell points. However, the British manufacturers were so blinded by their success, they didn't see the tables were turning against them slowly by slowly. The Japanese invasion. Within no time, the other three big manufacturers started having good sales internationally, and that was at the cost of the British industry. And just like that, one by one, they started closing down. James, Francis Barrett, Norman, Sun, Royal Enfield, and many more. There was one place, however, where the Japanese hadn't conquered, and that was in the big CC category, which the British still had firmly in their hands, together with the likes of Harley-Davidsons and BMW. What the British were doing is when the market needed a bigger bike, they would just take an existing model like a 500cc twin single cab and overbow it, which is just enlarging the cylinders. And just like that, the same bike would now go on and become a 750cc twin with twin carburetors. And that worked for them until 1969, when Honda launched the Honda CB754. Argued by many to be the first superbike, it caught everyone napping. Unlike the big CC twins coming from Britain, which would vibrate almost to pieces in the higher revolutions per minute, the Honda had an inline-4 overhead cam, a 5-speed motor, which was smooth like anything the Europeans had seen before. 4 cylinders, 4 cabs, front disc brakes, oil pressure warning lights, full instruments, main beams and blinkers, all in one bike. Was unheard of, and just like that, the Honda made every bike on the market useless. It was also said that The whole CB754 project just took 6 months, from drawing to designing to the complete bike. Meanwhile, the British manufacturers were taking 5 years to develop a new bike. The legacy. 1. First bike with discs. One of the designers had tested a CB450 with aftermarket brakes and was impressed by how efficient they were, and so the 750 had them in the front and was the first production bike to offer disc brakes as standard to the public. 2. First 750cc bike from Japan. The Honda CB750 was the first Japanese bike of that size, and soon afterwards Kawasaki introduced the Z1, which was a 900cc, and thereafter Suzuki and Yamaha followed suit. The CB754 paved the way for the other Japanese manufacturers to build big cc bikes, and we all know how that turned out to be. 3. Incorporated ergonomics. The 754 was the first to incorporate human engineering, in a layman's term, ergonomics. Basically, they made sure that the rider wasn't strained to ride the bike, the lights were functional and large enough, minimum vibration to reduce rider fatigue, and extended service intervals to make sure it served the purpose it was designed to do, which was to be ridden. 4. Pocket friendly. When it was launched, many bikes of that capacity were being sold for $3,000 to $4,000, which in today's money is about $40,000. Well, the CB retailed at $1,500, which is about $10,000 in today's money, and everyone went crazy. From a production plan of 1,500 units a month, that jumped to 3,000 and kept rising every month. By the time they were done with production in 1982, they had sold well over 450,000 units. The original ones sold in 1969 now fetch well over $40,000 and are the ones sought after most by collectors. However, if you are like me who has a dream of riding and owning one someday, we are lucky because the later models from 1975 to the end of the production in 1982 can be gotten for as low as $6,000. Essentially, what the CB74 did was bring new technology to the industry, faster development times, and new gadgetry to go with it. The British industry struggled to adapt to the new wave of bikes, and many of them either closed down or sold their equity to bigger companies. The CB750 is what ushered in the new age of superbikes, and even today the design is still the same for most superbikes, only more sophisticated with things like electronics, fuel injection, a whole host of electronics and fairing to cap it off. Anyway, if you found that interesting, leave a comment below and let us know if you want more of these videos. I also did a similar video like this one. It is called the 90s Top Speed Wars. I'll leave a link in the description below. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye.